Good evening, class. I hope you all are doing well. My name is Mr. Holmes Williams, and I am going to be teaching you about some of the things we've been doing inside of class the past couple of class days. So here in front of me, I do have a slide with some of the CSS we've been working on inside of class and pairing it with the HTML that we learned last year. If you don't understand HTML, you might want to look up a video about how HTML works and whatnot, but just to give you all the lowdown, HTML is basically the structure of a website. Think of it like a house that has no furniture in it. It's very plain, it's boring. All you really have is just the structure of the house itself. It's four walls with a roof on top. And then CSS is like an internal stylist that comes in and helps to make this boring four walls and a roof something more exciting to look at. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using the structure that we learned in last unit for HTML. We're going to be combining that into CSS, where we're going to be doing some stylizations. And so here we're going to be starting with the first bit of our HTML and CSS journey, which is stylizing text. As you all know, we've been writing in Word and we were writing text ever since we were little kids. And so of course we all know that we can color text, we can do all types of cool things with text. And so I just want to show you all how you would do those things, but just using them with CSS. So if you all will follow me over to Replit. So if you do not know what Replit is a website where you can basically write in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Although we're not going to be doing JavaScript, I believe, at all this year, but we may be able to sneak it in at some point. But it is a website where we'll be able to use a certain style sheet style called an external style sheet, where we have our HTML on one sheet and then we have our CSS on another. The other types are internal, which we've done before, where we have all of our code, HTML and CSS, on the same page, and we have inline, which we're just going to ignore inline. But today we're going to be looking at Replit and how we can use code to make text look more stylistic. All that being said, I'm going to go here to Replit.com. You will need to create an account for this, but you can use your Google account associated with your sccpss.com email to make this a lot easier to sign up for. And once you sign in, you should see a home page very similar to this one. And so here I'm going to go up to the top left-hand corner. Yours may be collapsed like this. It doesn't matter. Just click these three lines up at the top left, and then just click Create. And then what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down this very long list of different coding languages that you can all feel free to try out if you'd like. But the one that I'm looking for us in this class is this one right here, which is HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, and JavaScript or JS. So that's going to create a template for us with those three languages combined, which are the three languages that make up all modern web pages. And so here I'm just going to name this, because of this tutorial, styling text. And I'm just going to make that one big old name, and then let's spell it correctly. We're going to make that one big old name, and then we're just going to say create Replit, or REPL as it says on the screen. So once you do that, it's going to load up this default HTML page. And if you remember from last year, this looks a lot like what we've been doing with HTML and building out that base HTML layout. So here we have the doc type HTML, we have our HTML opening and closing tags, we have our head tags that has all of our good information about our website here. Then you have your body tags, where all of the magic happens. You know, that's where all of our content is going to go, and that is where we're going to be setting up our text so that we can then use CSS to stylize it. Okay. One thing I did want to make note, just to make sure that we understand how you're able to use an external style sheet on this page, it all has to do with this link element here on the page. So as you can see here, you have your link tag that's being opened, and it's a self-closing tag, so it doesn't have a closing tag per se, but it is the link element. And here you see we have a href, or a link out to a style.css sheet, which is this sheet right here on the left. And this is basically linking this HTML document to this CSS document, and that is how you're able to stylize on one sheet and have it then be applied to the structure that you created on another. So we're going to do that here today. So if you actually go here in between your opening and closing body tags, or just simply the body element, you see that they've already pre-populated a hello world within this element. So if you actually run this, you'll see that we have a simple hello world here. But I do want to make it a little bit less generic, a little less codey. So I'm going to change this to something a little bit nicer, like somebody loves you, baby, which is of course a quote I try to use every single class from the legendary Patti LaBelle. And here I'm going to wrap this inside of the P tags, or put it inside of the P elements with the opening and closing tags. So I'm going to go in the front of that somebody, and then just do my less than, P, greater than, that is the opening P tag, and then we're going to go right on back to the end of that statement, and then we're going to do our closing P tag. And the only difference between the opening and closing tag, as you hopefully should already know, is that we have this forward slash here at the end. So this creates a paragraph form version of somebody loves you, baby, which is what the P tag stands for. So when we run this, you'll see that we have somebody loves you, baby. It looks very similar to what we had before with hello world. However, now that we've wrapped this somebody loves you, baby inside of some tags, now we can now use that to be able to stylize it, and that is why we want to do that here. So we're actually going to leave this as it is because everything's already set up, and now we're going to go over to this sheet down here, not the second one but the third one, called style.css, and this is where we're going to input or write our CSS code. So here we go, we have style.css, and the way that you actually stylize CSS for any type of element inside HTML is by calling out the specific element that you want to stylize by what's in between these less than and greater than symbols. So in this case, I want to stylize the somebody loves you, baby that has been engulfed in the P element, or the P opening and closing tags. And so I'm going to simply just say P. That means that anything with the P tag or the P element is going to be stylized with whatever I want to stylize it with. Okay, so now I'm going to do opening and closing brackets, and as you see here, Replit automatically gives a matching closing bracket with a matching opening bracket, so you only have to do the opening bracket and then just put some enters in between it. So all this is saying is I'm now about to stylize the P element, and in this case I'm going to write some lines of code to help to stylize specific aspects of it. So the very first thing you probably want to do is change this boring black text to something more vibrant. So we're going to change the color of this text to something more more colorful. So the way that you change the color of text is simply actually using the color property. So anything before the colon here is going to be the property. That is how we call it in CSS. And then everything after that colon is going to be called the value. So here I'm just going to say I want it to be, let's make it, they already have a list here. Let's make it blue-violet. Okay, that's a cool color. And then we're just going to add a semicolon here. So what the semicolon here is doing is it's saying that this is the end of this line or this statement in this code. Kind of like how we have an ending tag inside of HTML that's saying, hey, this is the end of this line of code. The semicolon is here to make sure that it knows, okay, we're free to go to the next line of code. So when we run this, look at what happens. Now we have a beautiful blue-violet somebody loves you, baby. But that's not the only thing you can do inside of CSS. So we can do a couple other things. If you look back at this document, which we will have inside of Google Classroom, you see we can also change the font size of text. So the way you change font size is simply by doing font hyphen size. Pretty intuitive, correct? Colon. So again, this is the font size property, and now we can give it any value that we want to. So I want it to be a nice size, so I'm going to make it, let's say 20 pixels or 20 px, and what that means is that it's just going to make it 20 pixels on the page. And then, like I said before, you end all CSS elements in a semicolon. So we're going to run that. And look at there, it did increase in size. Not too much because it was already at a very nice size, but it did increase in size from the previous size. So that is another way in which you can stylize your text. Another way you can stylize your text is by changing the font weight and the font style. And in these two ways, you are changing it from regular text to bold text and from regular text to italicized text. So the way that you do that is by doing font dash let's do weight first. So you can see they already pre-populated, and I can just tab over and it will complete that statement. So if you want to do blazing fast coding, you can take advantage of that right there. And so what we want to do here, this is the property font weight, and we're going to give it the value bold. And then again, don't forget your semicolon. So when we do that, when we run it, you can now see that we have a bold blue violet 20 pixel Somebody Loves You Baby. And so if we go down to the next line, now we're going to do font hyphen style, and this is going to change the style of the of this text. In this case, we're going to change it to italic. So we can see here, again, you have some pre-populated options that they show you in this little menu. This is something that a lot of editors like Replit do to help make coding a little less daunting. It definitely helps those who don't have really great memories remember some of the code. So when I run this, you'll see that it goes from just a simple bold Somebody Loves You Baby. Now it is italicized as well. So far we've changed the color of our text, we've changed the weight of our text, the size of our text, and the styling of our text. And if you look back over here, we can also change the alignment and the background color of our text before moving on to the last bit here with font family. So let's do that. So just like in a word, maybe I want this Somebody Loves You Baby to be at the center of my screen. So the way that I change the alignment of this text from being right now left justified to, let's say, centered, we will use the property called text dash or hyphen align. And again, you can utilize the tab to complete it with the colon, and then you can do center. And then we can do our semicolon. And as you can see here, now our Somebody Loves You Baby is in the middle of the screen. And if you wanted to make it right justified or just put the text to the right of the page, then you can also do right here instead of center. And guess what? It'll put it to the right. But I'm going to leave it in the center because I think center makes it a lot nicer. So we're going to run that and put it in the center. Again, I implore you to explore the different values you can set in these in case you want to see some other things your text can do. And then finally, before we get to font family, we're going to look at background color, or in this case, it's just a highlight color. So if you want to change the background color or highlight color of text, you simply have to do background hyphen color. And as soon as I put background hyphen COL, you can see it is highlighted background color, and I can just tab and it auto completes it using Replit. So again, work smarter, not harder. And then I'm going to make it, let's say, what's a good color that complements this? Let's make the color a nice beige. So I'm going to auto-complete the beige, again, using tab. And then I'm going to put a semicolon at the end. Please do not forget your semicolon because that is going to ruin a lot of your stuff if you do not have those, okay? When we run it, now we have a beige background for our Somebody Loves You Baby. So now the final thing I want to show you about stylizing text, at least in the construct of the class so far, is font hyphen family. And again, you want to make sure that you're not putting any spaces here. Everything should be all bundled up together. So as you can see here, everything with your property, even when it's a double name property, there are no spaces here, but there are spaces once you get into the actual values of these, okay? So we do have a little bit less time, about a minute left, so let me show you this really quickly. Basically, when you're doing font family inside of CSS, what you want to do is you want to get a font, and then you want to get not only the font that you want, but also the different families within that font family. So let's say I want to get Times New Roman. Instead of just doing Times New Roman inside of my value to change it from the default text to Times New Roman, I actually want to look up, Times New Roman, thank you. I actually want to look up the font family. And what's going to happen is it's going to show me the font family of Times New Roman. And it depends on the website you go to, but it should see all the different types of families that you have. And if you want to look it up even further, you can say CSS, and this will help you look at the font family even better. So if you look right here, where is Times New Roman? You can see right here the font family for Times New Roman is Times New Roman, then Times, then Serif. And basically the reason why you want to have this is that it will allow for you to have some redundancy here for your text so that you're able to run on any browser.